Welcome back. The Egyptian-German archaeological mission discovered some blocks in El Matariya related to the facades of King Nekhtembufa's temple. Let's shed more light on this discovery, as we do have with us via phone Mr. Ihab Kamel, our historian researcher. Thank you very much for being with us, Mr. Kamel.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning to you, sir. Sir, let's go immediately into the story. Who is King Nekhtembu first, and what about his reign?
Well, King Nekhtembu first, that's the Hellenic or the Greek form of the name of this pharaoh. His name was Nekhtembu. He was actually the founder of the last Egyptian dynasty, the 30th dynasty, and he was the son of an army general. His name was Jedher, and we had found his name mentioned in many places as he was a great builder. He restored lots of temples and built lots of temples all over Egypt. As a matter of fact, he had ruled around the 4th century BC, about 380 BC, and his relation with Greece was a strong relation. This relation was a very old relation that had started since the time of the 26th dynasty, since the time of King Prismatic. His capital was in a place called Sennetus, which is now called Samanud, one of the pharaohs of Lower Egypt. And as a matter of fact, Egypt at this time was in the middle of a conflict with the Persian Empire because, as you know, the 27th dynasty that ruled Egypt was Persian dynasties. So Egypt was liberated, but still the Persian kings of the Achaemenid Empire, they had considered Egypt to be a mutinous province. Of course, this man or this pharaoh is one of the great builders of the late period. We can say that he was the one who had started one of the great temples, like the Temple of Philae, when he had built a small kiosk over there, making this island a very important island from the religious point of view. Also, he had restored many temples all over Egypt. Also, he had built temples in Heliopolis, El Kap, Tanis, in a place called Fath el-Hinna in near Damanhur, that's in the Delta. And
Samanud itself is in Al-Gharbiya, sir. Samanud itself is in Al-Gharbiya. It's about 120 kilometers from Cairo, meaning, as you've kindly mentioned, a great builder. The Manhur, meaning it's close to Alexandria in Al-Bahira, and we are talking about a temple in Al-Matariya here in Cairo, also in Samanud in Al-Gharbiya, meaning that he has his traces or his temples or his buildings all over the country. True?
All over the country. It's enough to tell you that he's the one who had built the first pylon in the Karnak, which is at the very far south, in Thebes or Luxor. At the same time, we had found some buildings and some stelae that belongs to him in Nocrates. Nocrates, that's near Damanhur, that's near the first Greek Hellenic colony that was existing there since the time of King Prismatic in the 26th dynasty.
Yeah.
Also, we had found some tablets that belongs to him in the sunken city of Heraclion in the Bay of Aboukir. Also, we can say that he is the one that had protected the independence of Egypt because he had to face one of the Persian attempts to take over Egypt during the time of the Achaemenid king Ardashir II. And for years, and this king had prepared for this campaign for years. And
all of
even,
this rich data, sir, you are kindly informing us with, we knew them from the walls of his temple scattered all over Egypt, or also other kings who came after him wrote more about him and his achievements.
oh yes, absolutely.
Both, I mean, we do have diversity of resources regarding this king. True.
Oh yes, indeed. And actually, because he is one of the great kings that had ruled Egypt in a period of decline, there had been lots of records that had spoken about this king, and we had found some of his statues, and actually lots of them in comparison to other kings of the late period. Unfortunately, most of them are outside of Egypt, scattered all over the world. However, the number of statues that we have for this king in Egypt are much less than those which are located abroad. However, this king is considered to be the king that had gave to the Egyptian civilization, as we say, the blow of life for like about a century before Egypt had fallen under the Persian invasion again.
Yep. Sir, I'm asking these questions because I want to reach the discovery we are talking about today. Some basalt blocks in Al-Matariya that are parts of the western and northern facades of King Nekhtembo I's temple. To what extent those discoveries are going to give us more information or to enrich the information and data we already knew about this king?
Well, we have to understand that the area of Matariya or Heliopolis is one of the major sites of Egypt. This was a huge city since the 5th dynasty, since the Old Kingdom. And don't forget that the kings of the 5th and the 6th dynasties, they originally came from Heliopolis. They were the descendants of the sun god priests, as this area was the center of cult of Ra. It had appeared over there, and this is one of the major cults in ancient Egypt. Also, as I said, we haven't got much information about the 30th dynasty or the late dynasties, the late period pharaohs. So this area, it will provide us with lots of information about the 30th dynasty in particular, and that's because of the late discoveries. And Heliopolis has got a lot to reveal. It's enough to tell you that all the pharaohs, even after the end of the 6th dynasty, they were so keen to add something or to add buildings to Heliopolis, because Heliopolis, or Iyun as it was called in the ancient times, that was the center of one of the most important major cults, the cult of the sun god, the cult of Ra. So it's not something strange that we would find a king and a great builder like Nekhtembo I. He would add a temple or a monument over there, and definitely this monument will have writings and documents that explains to us a lot about the period of his reign.
Well, Mr. Ihab Kamel, you are always an added value to our program. Thank you very much for your input, sir, and have a very good day. We were delighted to have with us via phone Mr. Ihab Kamel, our researcher and historian, to speak about this latest German-Egyptian archaeological discovery in Al-Matariya with the facades of the temple of King Nekhtembo I. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but it's not only in Al-Matariya, in Saqqara, in Tun al-Jabal, in San al-Hagar, and in Samanud. Under every stone, we are going to find some traces of our great civilization. This is Egypt, and we are all proud to be Egyptians. By this, we come to the end of the breakfast show of today. Tomorrow is another episode and another crew. You are in the company of my dear colleague Halal Hamalawi and myself, Nermeen Abdurrahman. For more details, please log on to www.nileinternational.net. Many thanks for watching. It's a goodbye for now.